Dear students, in this session, let us discuss about determination of molecular weight and determination of elevation, determination of freezing point depression by experimental methods. So the first thing, how to determine the molecular weight of a solute, unknown solute, using the colligative property depression of a freezing point. So I have given you a problem, an aqueous solution consisting of 0.25 gram of solute, okay, which is dissolved in 20 gram of solvent. The 0.25 gram of solute, which is W2, weight of a solute. This is 20 gram of solvent is noted as a W1. The solvent is water, okay, and when you add this 0.25 gram of solute to 20 gram of solvent, then the freezing point has decreased to 0.42 degree centigrade. Okay, this freeze at 0.42 degree centigrade. So calculate the molar mass of the solute which is taken. So we need to find M2 in this equation. So we already know this equation. M2 is the molecular weight of solute, R is a gas constant, T0 is the freezing temperature, W2 weight of a solute, M1 is the molar mass of solvent, delta HF is the latent heat of fusion, delta TF is the temperature of fusion, and W1 is the weight of the solvent. Okay, and you are provided with these values. Delta HF 6.025 kilojoules and R the gas constant 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. Okay, so now so you must know these values: delta HF, R T0 squared, W2 and delta TF, W1. So let us substitute, okay, everything in the equation. Okay, so if you substitute, you can do one thing, you can find this Kf, okay, you can find it Kf and finally substitute. Kf is RT0 square delta HF and this one M1. So if you substitute these values, you will get a Kf. Okay, otherwise you can directly find this value. Okay, so Kf is RT0 squared into M1 whole divided by delta HF. Okay, so what is R? R is the gas constant, which is 8 point, let me write it here, Kf is equal to R T0 squared into M1 whole divided by delta HF into this one. So this one becomes equal to 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. Then T0 is the freezing point of a particular solvent. So let us take this as a 0 degree centigrade is the freezing point, not the depression of freezing point. 0 degree centigrade is nothing but 273 Kelvin. So let me substitute 273 Kelvin. Okay, and then M1 is the molar mass of the solvent. Okay, so M1 is the molar mass of solvent. The solvent used here is water. So I can write this 18, okay, into 10 power minus 3 grams per mole. Okay, so divided by delta HF. This is given in kilojoules. So let me convert it into joules. 6.025 into 1000. We convert this kilojoules into joules. So that becomes 6025. Okay. So this will come around. The KF will come around 1.85 Kelvin kilogram per mole. So this is called the molar depression constant. Molar depression constant or cryoscopic constant. Okay. So you have got this. Now how to continue. Okay. Now let me find what is the molecular weight. M2 is equal to Kf into W2, okay, divided by delta Tf into W1. Delta Tf into W1. So Kf is already known, 1.85 into 1.85 multiplied by W2 is the weight of the solute you have taken, 0.25 grams, whole divided by delta Tf. Okay, so from 100 degrees, from 0 degree to 0.42 degrees centigrade, the difference is 0.42 degrees centigrade. Okay, so 0.42 degrees centigrade or Kelvin, if the difference is going to be the same. Okay, multiplied by weight of the W1 is the weight of the solvent. What is the weight of the solvent? We have 20 gram of solvent. Okay, so if you multiply these two, you will get 0.05506 kilogram per mole. So if you want to convert this into grams, so 0. It comes into 1000 means 55.06 grams per. Okay. So this is by this way you can find, using these formulas you can find the molecular weight of any unknown solute. Okay, and you can also find molar depression constant or a ebullioscopic constant. Okay, you can try to solve as many problems from the book so that you will get some good experience. Now let us go for determination of freezing point. Okay, depression of freezing point using experimental methods. Through experimental methods. So two methods are known. One is called the Beckmann's method. And number two is the Rost method. So by these two methods you can find the depression of freezing point for a solute. Okay. Normally different solvents will have different cryoscopic constant. So you should know some values of a cryoscopic constant for some solvents. So water will have Kf value, it is around in kilograms per mole. Kelvin kilograms per mole. Okay, water will have this value around 1.86. Okay, for acetic acid the value is 3.90. Benzene 5.12. Phenol is 7.27. Okay, for naphthalene 6.90. Cyclohexane 20.0. For camphor 37.70. So look at this data. You will find that camphor is said to possess very high value of cryoscopic constant. Okay, that means camphor depresses the freezing point to a greater extent than other solvents, even when compared to water. So if you add 1 mole of solute to water, okay, it depresses the freezing point to 1.86 degrees centigrade only, whereas the addition of 1 mole of camphor to the same solvent depresses the freezing point to 37.7 degree centigrade. Okay, so using camphor as a solvent can be very effective in determining the freezing point of unknown solute, because the difference is very large that errors can be minimized in the determination of freezing point, depression of a freezing point. Okay, so now let us go by the methods of determination one by one. Okay, so Beckman method is one of the very simpler method in determining the depression of a freezing point. So the advantage of the method is the simple experimental setup. Okay, easy to carry out the procedure in any place, okay, or anywhere. Okay, so this Beckman's method consists of a vessel in which the freezing mixture can be taken. Okay, and then you have inner tube. You have inner tube like this. Okay, and in this inner tube you can place another tube which consists of a thermometer and a stirrer. Beckman's thermometer is being placed here. So this is A is the outer jacket, B is the test tube where actually the sample is being taken. C is the side tube through which we can drop some solute, okay, and this is the stirrer, this is the thermometer, okay, and this is setup. Whole setup is taken in a freezing mixer. Whole setup is taken in a freezing mixer. Now let me explain how to carry out this experiment. Okay, so this experiment is first you have to make this setup, and then first let me explain you the purpose of the outer jacket. Outer jacket. This is to avoid sudden cooling by the freezing mixer. So sudden cooling will depresses the freezing point to a very great level than the actual freezing point. So to avoid the sudden cooling, there is a air space between the outer jacket and the inner jacket. Okay, and then this is the sample tube or test tube in which solvent is taken. Okay, and thermometer and stirrer is being placed. Now first at the first step, take some solvent. Okay, the quantity of solvent, the amount of solvent should be approximately 10 to 15 times greater than that of a quantity of solute. Okay, suppose you take 5 gram of camphor, then you have to take 0.25 to 0.5 gram of any solute, naphthalene or something like that. Okay, so first you take only the solvent and keep it in a freezing mixture. The temperature will fall down. The liquid substance, okay, camphor should be taken in a liquid or molten state, and previously you have to heat it, make it into a liquid form, then freeze the solvent, okay, and then note down the temperature falls down and it goes slightly below the freezing point because of the freezing. Okay, then after some time the temperature will rise and keep constant, maintain a constant level, okay, at the freezing point. Okay, so that temperature at which temperature reaches the steady state should be noted as a freezing point of a particular solvent, not the depression of freezing point. It is noted as the freezing point of the particular solvent. So stage 2, through the side tube, add little quantity of solute for which you are going to determine the depression of a freezing point. Okay, so little quantity of solute is taken in the side tube. The solution is stirred well, okay, and then heated to a liquid state. Then keep it in a freezing point, freezing mixture. Temperature will slowly go down and it will reach as lowest value and then slightly rises and remain constant at a particular value. That temperature is to be noted as a T1. Earlier, the temperature of the pure solvent should be noted as T0 for a solvent. Okay, this is for solution. So T1 minus T0 is equal to delta PF, the freezing point of the depression of freezing point of the particular solute. Okay, I hope you have thoroughly understood this procedure. Okay, now let us go for the next method, which is much simpler than this one. Okay, so this is a RAST method in which depression of a freezing point can be determined. So in this also you should have a test tube, sample tube, and a stirrer, okay, setup. Also some heating needs to be test tube, okay, in which you can keep inner tube, okay, stirrer should be taken. Now, then here also you can take a, you can either have a thermometer here like that, okay, or otherwise you can say this is only for making a mixer. Temperature can be measured even in a normal melting point apparatus, okay. So the outer tube, sample tube, stirrer, okay. So this is take some solvent, okay, just for the purpose of heating or cooling, okay. Now take up the solvent in the sample tubing, okay, and then heat it to a molten liquid state, okay. So once it becomes a molten liquid, okay, uniformly you have to stir the solution, okay, for uniform composition, okay. So that after that take little pinch of the solvent and place it in a normal melting point apparatus, okay. Find out the melting point of the particular substance. So that is to be noted as the freezing point, okay. So melting point is the one at which the temperature at which the solid melts into a liquid, okay. Freezing point is the one at which the liquid freezes to become a solid. So the temperature is the same whether it is a melting point or a freezing point, okay. So for a pure solvent, the melting point it is noted in the melting point apparatus, okay. So otherwise you can insert one thermometer here, okay, find out the melting point of the particular solvent or freezing point of the solvent, okay. You can do one thing. So first you can take the solvent, heat it to liquid state, okay, then slowly cool it, and then you will find a crystal appearance of a first crystal. So that is to be noted as the freezing point. Then make it to complete solid, freeze it completely, then once again melt it. So the temperature at which the solid melts, it is to be noted as a melting point. So you can see that both the temperature freezing and the melting point will be the same, okay. So this is another way of doing it. So next you add little amount of solute to this, add little amount of solute, completely heat the solution, make it into a uniform concentration with continuous stirring, so that the solute becomes completely mixed with the solvent, so you will get a uniform composition of solution, good solution, okay. Then you take little piece of the solution, okay, little amount of frozen solution, put it in a normal melting point tube, melting point apparatus, find out the melting point, okay. So that is to be noted as T1. Earlier this is for a solvent alone, this is for solution, okay. So the T1 minus T0 is noted as delta Tm. So other way, what you can do, add little quantity of solute, make it to uniform concentration by continuous heating and stirring, then cool the system. So from liquid state the temperature goes down, and then note down the appearance of the first crystal, that is noted as the freezing point, okay. And to get a concordant value, make it a complete solid by freezing, then heat it up, then the temperature rises at one particular point, the frozen mixture melts, it is noted as a melting point, okay. So both are same, more or less same, okay. So that is to be noted as the delta T1 of a solution, that is solvent plus solute, okay. So now this temperature difference is noted as the depression of a freezing point, okay. So I hope you have thoroughly learned what is meant by depression of freezing point, then determination of cryoscopic constant, determination of molecular weight of the unknown solute, and how determination of depression of a freezing point by adding an unknown solute. So let me brief you in few minutes. Depression of freezing point is a colligative property where you can where the depression of freezing point is affected by the number of moles of solute and not by the nature of solute. Okay. So it is done by it is understood or proved by drawing a vapor pressure temperature graph between a pure solvent and a solution. So the pure solvent from liquid state passes through a solid phase upon decreasing the temperature. Okay, and then a pure solution, I mean the solution in which solute is added goes for a temperature decreases with the vapor pressure decreases with the decreasing temperature. Usually the vapor pressure will be lesser than that of a vapor pressure of a solution will be lesser than that of a pure solvent. Okay, so if we apply Clausius-Clapeyron equation for both phases from liquid to vapor, from solid to liquid state. So from the difference, let us find out the delta HF. Okay, latent heat of fusion. Okay, and also log P2 P1 by P0 delta HF by TF, and we got the formula. Then we relate the lowering of vapor pressure with the Raoult's law. Okay, with the moles of number of moles of solute and a solvent. Okay, and finally we got the equation defining the relationship between number of moles of solute and depression of a freezing point. So that we found out the depression of freezing point is a colligative property because it depends on number of moles of solute added, not on the nature of the solute. Okay, and from that from that the cryoscopic constant is defined. So the cryoscopic constant is the one when 1 mole of solute is dissolved in 1000 gram of solvent or 1 kilogram of a solvent, then the depression freezing point is noted as the cryoscopic constant. Okay, so we can find out the molecular weight of unknown solute using the formulas we have derived. Okay, so with this we conclude this topic, and let us continue in the next class. Thank you.